Today I'd like to introduce you to another friend who passed away far too early. This is Ernie, and Ernie was a military veteran who served during the Vietnam War. And like many of my friends, Ernie had a huge collection, a collection of firearms, which poses different issues for finding a proper home for his collection.
All right, Savage, what do you want?
I want a car out front. Something fun. A Porsche.
We all know how you feel, Savage. Anyway, this is one of Ernie's handguns that he had in his collection. This is a Spanish Star model Super A in 9mm Largo. It's just a beautiful, beautiful handgun. These were manufactured from 1946 to 1989 and later imported, probably in the 80s and 90s, here to America for gun collectors. Ernie bought this in a gun show, probably in the 90s. Probably didn't pay very much for it at the time because these were very common. Now, this looks like a 1911, but it's not. And we're going to talk about the differences. First, the one thing about this handgun is that it has a chamber indicator. Now, anytime you pick up a handgun, you want to make sure that it's unloaded. And to do that, of course, you remove the magazine. And although this chamber indicator is telling us that the gun is unloaded, we still want to visually look and make sure that that's true. And it is. All right. So the major differences here between this gun and a 1911 is not only the indicator, but your external extractor here. The 1911 has an internal extractor. This gun has a takedown lever on the right side of the frame. This model, like most Spanish pistols, has a pivoting trigger. It pivots on a pin rather than moving in and out of the frame like the traditional 1911. This gun does not have a plunger tube. The detents that allow the safety to operate is inside the pin for the hammer. And that half moon shape there, that's what you see. That's the pin for the hammer, and then inside that is the detent for the safety to operate. And then, of course, this model does not have a grip safety or removable mainspring housing. But I'd like to note that this is probably the first attempt at making a beaver tail, although they probably didn't call it that. This was an attempt to guard the soft tissue of the hand there from hammer bite, which was very common on the 1911. It still is very common on a 1911 that does not have a beaver tail. And then, of course, we've got this little nub at the bottom. The 1911 doesn't have this for the pinky. The 1911 did not originally have a flared magazine well, which this obviously does. The 1911 does not have a magazine disconnect. This does. And probably most minor, the barrel bushing here has a very different shape, although it operates exactly like the traditional 1911. The shape at the bottom is very different. This is a full shape, whereas the 1911 had two little teardrops. And this extension on the bushing to give it more surface area So let's talk about disassembling this gun. So it's real easy. The magazine's out. We've checked the chamber. And the hammer is now to the rear because we've pushed the slide to the rear. So we're ready to disassemble this gun. And the only thing we need to do is rotate that lever down all the way. And it just slides right off. Super simple. And of course, this barrel lockup does not have a link. This is a linkless barrel lockup, which makes it so much easier to assemble back together. It really is a beautiful, beautiful design. This gun, you would think maybe they stole this from Colt. They didn't. This was manufactured in Spain for their service members licensed through Colt. So Colt had a lot to do with the manufacturing of this gun. Why we don't see a model like this in America? I don't know. It's a good question. There's a lot of guns today like Glock and SIG that have linkless lockups and are very simple to disassemble, a lot more simple than a traditional 1911. But we still don't see anything like this in the 1911 world, and that begs the question why, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe Americans just aren't... maybe the market doesn't believe that Americans can get used to something that's so much like a 1911 but so different. I don't know. It's a good question. This is a really... Star manufactures a very elegant quality firearm with quality metals and a great design. So there's really no reason why this gun isn't more popular, only that it's limited in its numbers and it's widely considered a collectible. I believe this gun is transferable with a Cures and Relic FFL. So it's just not considered a defensive handgun or a target handgun or a tactical firearm for that matter. It's really considered a collectible at this point, although a lot of people do probably use it as a home defense gun. It's really not considered to be that. And the reason why is because of this ammunition. These ammunition brands are corrosive. And if you don't know what that means, the use of this ammunition will cause the firearm to corrode quickly because of the elements that are incorporated into the propellant and the primer. So you need to be very religious about cleaning this gun. Once you're done shooting this gun, you got to clean it that day. You can't just put it back down and go let a month go by because it'll destroy this firearm. And that's more than likely the reason for this pitting. It was used by a police officer. It was probably shot several times, reholstered, put away, and any residue that remained on the slide would cause this corrosion. You don't see it very much on this side, but those pits right there are a perfect example of what corrosive ammunition will do to steel. But it is shootable. I can go out and shoot this ammunition and it'll be perfectly fine. It's just that I need to clean it. And so if you're lazy and you don't have a good cleaning regimen, then this firearm probably isn't for you. And that's why these guns have been widely considered collectibles at this point. So in the future, we'll cover some more of Erni's collection. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we're going to try to talk about a lot of it before it disappears. Thanks for watching, people. Make it a great day.